Now, Rob Spence is a Toronto-based filmmaker who lost his eye in a shooting accident when he was a child. He decided that eye patches are so old-fashioned that he came up with his very own modern solution. This report from Lucy Cotter contains some pictures of Rob removing and replacing his false eye.
My name is Rob Spence, and I'm a cyborg.
Part human, part machine, cyborgs are normally consigned to the screen. But by making his eye into a camera, Rob Spence has turned fiction into fact.
I have a prosthetic eye with a camera right in the eye.
Rob's eye isn't connected to his brain, but it does record everything he sees.
I use this magnet and just wave it near the camera. So then I'm ready to become Cyborg.
Okay.
So I just pop it in and just got to get it in there snug. And so there it's in.
A team of engineers work with him to produce the eye using an endoscope camera.
I can pull it out relatively easy. You just go like that. And it's my own eye. I'm filming myself with my own eye. Weird. Yeah, so there's a there's a battery in there, the camera. So this is essentially a video transmitter. So this transmits video through the air to a receiver, and then that becomes the video source, and plug it into whatever you like.
The body may heal.
This video game is set in the year 2027 and imagines a world in which cyborgs are the norm. The makers commissioned Rob to look at current technology to see how far away from their fictional world we are now.
Part of what's going on, I think, is these engineers have watched too much Star Trek and have been inspired by it, and they go and build stuff that you've seen in the movies. Like you know, like people say, well, no one would ever cut off their arm and replace it. If the technology gets there, which it looks like it will, people will think about it. They might be what you'd call an early adopter, a really early adopter, but people are going to have the option of having superior limbs, superior eyes at some point. And so I think a lot of people will do it.
So maybe the Bionic Man and Terminator weren't as far-fetched as we thought. Lucy Cotter, Sky News.
Sneaker zoom.
Well, guess what? Rob is joining me now, and this is exactly what he's seeing via his eyeborg, can we call it, Rob? I mean, this is really remarkable stuff. Why did you want to do this?
You know what? Anybody that loses an eye immediately thinks of doing this in the same way somebody who loses a hand thinks of maybe getting a hook, just even as a gag. Because it's, there's so many characters in pop culture. I mean, we were saying earlier that we watch a lot of Star Trek. You know, there's all kinds of characters in Star Trek, like Seven of Nine, Locutus, the Borg, that have prosthetic eyes with cameras in them, that it's kind of a natural thing.
I mean, the downside to this, though, is that, you know, we're getting this on your monitor. We're not this isn't being fed into your brain, so you're not actually seeing through this eye.
No, but I was just commissioned to do a documentary by these video game guys. They made a game called Deus Ex: Human Revolution, and that character is the future. Now, I went around the world and filmed bionic people with my bionic eye to see what is the most high-tech cybernetics now. And I met a guy, for example, he has a chip in his retina, and he's completely blind, but now he can read 4-centimeter high text. He can recognize bananas. And you know, by the year 2027, much like in the video game Deus Ex, it's quite possible that we'll have neural prosthetics that are attached directly to your brain.
I mean, you are admittedly a geek.
I'm totally a geek.
I can say that to you because I'm a geek as well.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that this sort of technology and what you're doing then will lead to those crucial further developments?
Yeah, I mean, what I ended up concluding in the documentary was that my physical camera eyeball, the retinal chip that brings images directly to the brain, and what I would call augmented reality, which is when you turn on your iPhone and get Terminator data everywhere, those three things are the building blocks for an eye like this character, Adam Jensen, who's a cybernetic guy in the future, has. He's got, in the future, it's very possible that you'll have an eyeball that is connected directly to your brain, where I would see like little readouts next to your head.
But within all of this, there must be an element of people seeing this in, because I mean, obviously it doesn't look quite like an eye; it just looks slightly different.
Yeah.
I mean, how difficult do you think that will be for people in the future dealing with that, as well as, I mean, for yourself now walking about when it's on display?
Yeah, well, I can paint this to look very realistic, which is what my mother wishes I would do. But,
She does.
I think it looks hardcore. You know, I think it looks cool, but I also have seen every single Star Trek, and, you know, I played video games, and so, yeah, it was a lot of fun for me. I got to go, I love cyborgs, obviously. I am a cyborg, so I traveled all around the world and got to compare the top cybernetic technology today to this fictional world of Deus Ex Human Revolution. It's a great video game.
But you know what, it's absolutely fascinating to meet you and to see where this is going to go next. Who knows? Rob, fascinating. Thank you very much. Oh, and
one more thing, you can see a 12-minute documentary I did at youtube.com/Deus Ex Official.
Oh, well, there you go. Good plug all in. Rob, thank you. Check on the real life.